Is that Kevin?
Yeah.
I'm doing. Hey, you're unmuted. I'm doing the intro.
What up, Ghost?
Welcome everybody to Friends with Backlog, where we discuss video games that are in our backlog. Sometimes are relevant and came out recently, and sometimes a long time ago, like Resident Evil 7. You might notice we have a guest on today, which is Emma. Is it Tater Totzilla? Is what Brian told me to put. Is that right?
Yeah, that's my handle on my PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Why is it Tater Totzilla?
I think it's one of those things that like I've tried several names and I tried Tater Tot and then it was taken and then I added Zilla at the end and there we go.
Okay.
Because it's natural.
That's pretty good.
And I like it. It's usually available. I mean, this is what we have to deal with. It's sort of like what's available. So.
No, absolutely. I mean, usually you can just think of a really good name, put Zilla or Zar or whatever. My friend is Larry Zar. If you like dinosaurs, then you're really cool. Oh, and we also have Brian and Nick on here.
Hey.
Yeah, they're on sometimes. I love Goose so much. He's always
such a friendly troll.
So
are we getting comments? Is there a place to look at comments?
Yeah. There's my Twitch channel. By the way, how professional we are here. I didn't even provide the Twitch channel to our guest. Is Frosty_TV. So Twitch.tv or Twitch.tv/Frosty_TV. So just the Twitch chat there, but so this week Resident Evil 7. I've played it and I did everything that I wanted to completely with it. You guys played it and maybe forced yourself is what I'm hearing from the tone and some of the conversations that we've had, Nick and Brian, kind of to make it through the game. Is that true? Did you guys like this game at all?
I liked the game.
Yeah, I liked it.
Okay.
I think there were definitely things
I think you
didn't
overread
like
that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you guys were like, I kind of don't care about the DLC, and then if you liked it, I figured you want to play the DLC. I don't know.
I was interested, but it was one of those like I kind of just wanted at least because I finished it 2 nights ago, and then yesterday I had a really bad headache, so I was kind of like I didn't really play it, but I needed a couple days. Yeah, couple days break.
Okay.
Okay.
Emma, what'd you think about this game? Did you play it recently, or did you play it a while ago?
Yeah. So Brian mentioned it to me, and I had never played Resident Evil games. I didn't think I'd like them because I don't like scary movies that much. I don't like jump scares.
Okay.
But my boyfriend finds it amusing when I get scared. So I was like, okay, I will play a game, and you have to sit there and watch and support me, but really just laugh at me. And it ended up being really fun. So the very first one I ever played was the remake of Resident Evil 2. So what was that, like a year ago, maybe?
Yeah, that was last year.
So.
I'm thinking
yeah.
That was last year. And it had a lot of things that I liked. Like I like dungeons. I like, finding keys to get into certain rooms. There's a lot of gaming elements that I really liked about it. And like 5 or 6 jump scares total. So it's like I made it through the scary parts and ended up really liking it. And so then when Brian mentioned that you guys were playing this, I was like, okay, I'll do it. But I liked it.
7
I have a lot of thoughts. I like it.
7's a lot different than 2, I would say. Did you?
But it feels like they're in the same spirit, though.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, because I just played 2 a month ago. And it feels like because I remember I didn't play anything past 2 because I played 1 and 2 in the 90s. And then I played 1 and 2 remake just a couple of months ago. And then this one, and there's that middle ground where a lot of people they felt like they got away from what the Resident Evil spirit was. And then I kept hearing this is the first game that went back to those original games. This felt like that game in many respects.
Okay.
So what did you guys think that have played like other ones? I
mean, I felt like Resident Evil 2 was more of more action, more intense. Resident Evil 7 was more of a, hey, you got scary stuff and you just need to be afraid and run away kind of stuff. Which it had some of that, but it wasn't all of that. But I do feel like it went back to the classic trying to scare you instead of the more action-based stuff that Resident Evil 2, which did a great job with it. was basically focused on. But that's my opinion. Nick?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I think that I found myself that I was more creeped out than like scared
Okay.
by this one, if that makes sense. Like it was a creepy. I just don't think I was as creeped out in Resident Evil 2.
Yeah. I don't know. Nick, did you think this game was scary at all?
I didn't think the game was scary, but I did. A couple of the jump scares got me. But I think there are a lot of movies that are like scary movies out there that have tons of jump scares that still get me, but I don't know if I would call them like a really scary movie. They just like to scream at you and increase the volume on the music at very specific times to make you jump. But it's not like a really like when I can think of something scary, I think of something that's like intense that like I almost have to avert my eyes sometimes when I'm watching it. And this
like
it was
cringy love story stuff. Is that scary too? 'Cause
exactly.
sometimes I watch that and like they start getting into those scenes. I'm like, I'm just going to come back to it later because it's just a little bit too much for me right now.
I think of jumps. I think a
Barrymore and
comedian.
Adam Sandler.
Oh, go on, Nick.
Yeah. I would say anything with Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler, like 100% like perfect scary movies.
I would say a comedian made a joke that jump scares are the equivalent of a comedian going out to the audience and tickling you while you're technically laughing, but it's not. It's not comedy. That's how I feel about jump scares.
It had a lot of horror elements. The game did. I mean, obviously it was a horror game, but it had a lot of like your gruesome moments, and it had a lot of like twisted kind of plot lines that it pushed you through. So,
twisted plot lines. That's the game.
Well, and then Nick, I want you to know, what's your relationship to Resident Evil?
What's my relationship to?
Yeah.
What's your status?
Speaking terms.
This was your first Resident Evil you ever played, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I'm not the only one that's like kind of a noob.
Okay.
Oh no. So I'm not like a really big fan of first-person shooter type games, and I know this is kind of loosely that, but you are in first-person setting and you have a gun and you're shooting things. So,
yeah.
I'm just not I'm not great at those games. Maybe that's why I'm not a fan of them, because I suck. I find it like really hard to kill things for some reason. So that's actually one of my problems with this game. It's just because I sucked at it, and I didn't realize for a while you could just run away from the zombies or the molds or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, I don't know what. It's just goop monsters. They didn't really weren't zombies.
I think they call them molded. I think that's the official term
molded?
for it. Yeah.
The molded. They were like tree-like almost.
Tree-like?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were tree-like, and they were. I don't know. They didn't move that quick. They did not creep me out at all. They looked like kind of like drunk. Like
yeah.
You know, kind of drunk, like rambling.
And if they got close, they would get extra momentum to get like a drunken style punch and like throw them.
Yeah,
forward.
it's like you have time to do something if they're like slowly. Yeah.
I mean, after a while, I just figured out how to deal with them. It's just get the shotgun and hit them in the head each time, and I'm done. Let them get a little close. Shotgun, done. Shotgun to the next one.
Oh, yeah.
The little guys, I used a handgun on the head on every little guy that was crawling around, and that was like the two types of monsters that you dealt with. You had the bloated ones, I guess, but those... Yeah.
The vomit ones. Yeah,
there was the pukers.
Oh, the pukers. Those were fun.
Yeah.
I did not find the fighting challenging, but I played it as easy. I could have easily done...
Well, I actually wondered the design of this game felt very differently because I was reading about the way they developed the engine, and this was developed concurrently as a VR game. And I think that's why there was a lot of decisions that are made. Like, I feel like this game actually catered to VR people, like, which was why, like, I had a problem with how many jump scares there were. Sometimes they would scare me, but it's like, oh, come on, man. Like, there were more jump scares in this game than every other Resident Evil combined. Like, it was almost like a lot of insane jump scares where it's like you're in a room and there's no one there and you do something and then someone grabs you from behind, like they teleported into the room, you know, and it was kind of silly. But I think if you're playing VR, a lot of that stuff is like extra scary.
Yeah.
You know? So,
yeah, no,
as someone, I forget, I played VR. I had it on VR and I first played it for about an hour and a half and I was like, nope, can't do that. Like, didn't even make it out of the house. Like, I was like, I can't do this. This is too scary. And
I kind of wish I did, but I just don't feel like I had a good enough setup to really do it. But I mean, like, it's one of those games that I would have probably felt sick pretty quickly. I did. I felt pretty nauseous, and I will tell you, there's no way I could have finished the game on VR. I could have not done the Marguerite fight with
VR. There's just no
You
way.
just didn't
Like
wanna
I
look
was
at
already
that
kind of
hive?
nauseous. I was already nauseous normally, let alone in VR. I'm like, that was
They
yeah.
did a good job grossing me out a bit. I did play through half of this before we went through this playthrough again, so I'd had some expectations, but I never got out of the house, and so it was a little bit weird to kind of like leave the house and see all these other things. And it was like, okay, this story got way more complicated than just being in a spooky house. And oh, she's a special agent that came here and didn't tell her boyfriend that she was a special agent.
Her
Wife, they're
husband.
married. They're
They're
married.
Oh, they're
married.
married. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And she left. And then it's like, she sent me a message after 3 years. I'm going to go check it out. I'm not going to deal with this.
I
in
still
any
want to know how
logical
he knew
way.
exactly what house to go to. He's just normal Ethan, normal guy. I assume he works at Home Depot. Just showing up.
The story was pretty bad.
I feel like I'm a pretty smart guy. I read Infinite Jest a couple times, and no, I actually read it, but the story was kind of all over the place. I had a good idea what was going on, but there's so many missable things in this game for the story. Like I don't know if you have to get all the VHS tapes, but even like the little notes and stuff on the ground everywhere, if you don't read all of them, I think you miss big chunks of the story, and you can be
Yeah.
really confused
Yeah.
at the end.
I
There
feel
was
like I
like
have
a
a
big
good
grasp on
reveal.
it.
There was a big reveal, and it's like you could have just walked off and not read it,
Mhm.
and then you would have missed the whole big thing. Which I was really annoyed that I didn't see it coming at all. And I thought that part was
Which reveal was it?
Oh yeah. Oh, Emma, we're allowed to
Very-
spoil the shit out of this. We don't.
Oh, okay. Where you're reading the diary and it's like, oh, Evelyn, she's got some gray hairs. She's aging really fast.
Oh yeah. It's like, why would you even?
I was like, oh my god,
Yep.
that creepy old lady who's like was the creepiest part of the game, who I thought was hilarious and creepy. Like, how about the part when she's like in the room and you have to like get around her to open the drawer?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit.
I thought she
And I
grabbed you at some point, but I didn't get grabbed by her.
No.
She
She
never
did
do
not.
anything except be creepy.
That part killed me. And also, I was streaming it and watching it with a friend who was also really hates horror.
Mhm.
So, but there was like a little bit of a delay. And so I'd be like, oh my God. And she'd be like, what? Oh my God. It was so funny. So during that whole like granny in the bedroom, where I'm like trying to get around the drawer, because you have no idea if she's going to grab you or not. Like,
Yeah, and there's like an item under the dresser, and you're like, I gotta get that item.
Yeah.
and you look right in her face, and she's just like, I'm old. I don't know. It was really funny.
Yeah, Granny was always vibing. That was her.
I loved, like, the writing was very campy in some parts, and like the parts with Granny, I just thought were so funny. So I was really happy when I found out that it was her,
Yeah.
because I loved Granny.
It was very Resident Evil, is what I'm gonna say the story was. It was just
Okay.
It was just, very campy, doesn't make a lot of sense, and we're going to try to throw in some Umbrella stuff somewhere in here, which, if you guys know anything about Resident Evil and Umbrella...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they... this is 16 years after, I think.
Yeah. Because I think Evelyn infects everything in 2014,
Mm-hmm.
and then you show up 3 years after. Because it's been 3 years.
Yeah, which is so... It's just so crazy to me. For some reason, it's just like, yeah, now I'm going to send you this message. And, like, what goes through your head in any point to just say, that makes sense? She's sending me a message after 3 years to say, hey, don't come here. But it wasn't even after 3 years, was it? It was, like, 3 years before, and then he suddenly got it? I don't know. It was strange.
That wasn't clear to me how the timing played out.
Yeah. Because I remember seeing that, and she recorded it before, the girl ran off the boat and they crashed and everything else, or while all that was happening. And then it's the message.
Maybe it took him 3 years to find the house. Maybe that was the trick. It took him 3 years to find the house.
Like the research, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to like give it some stupid benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Well, because that's actually one of the plot points I thought was kind of insane, the way it starts. So I'm going up this house to find my wife. I get to this house, you get in there, you find your wife. She turns into a demonic being who kills you, and then you actually have to kill her. And at that point, I was like, "Oh my god, you just killed your wife." I'm like, "Well, I guess I have to go home now." Like, why are you still here?
Yeah, as soon as you get out into the swamp, you're like, "How did I? All right, well, let me walk back to my car."
Right, because I know you walk in the house, and then all of a sudden the door just locks. And you're like, "Well, I guess I have to figure this house out now. I can't just
burst open a
window. Just go out the open window."
You're playing an escape room now. Yeah.
Yeah, Ethan is a special sauce.
I don't remember. I can't even remember. Like, so she does kill you and you come back to life, or she just
she doesn't kill you. I think she cuts your hand off. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. She hits your hand, but you kill her. You think you kill her.
You think you kill her. Yeah.
She always just gets back up, and you like turn around, and she's not there anymore. And
no.
I just looked at it as like Ethan was like a really nice guy because Zoe kept calling him and she's like, "You got to do this to save people," and he's like, "All right, I'm on it."
But at that point, you already had to do so many weird steps to get to the all right. Now I'm here and I'm committed. Because even after you kill your wife, you're like, "Well, I'm just leaving. There's no reason to stay."
Yeah.
Let me add to this. I know you guys didn't all play DLC. Emma, did you play any of the DLC?
So I had some issues downloading Not a Hero.
Okay.
But I got the Zoe one downloaded, so I'm very happy because I thought the one where you play the uncle was awesome.
it was fun.
I didn't play either. I watched both of them all the way through, so I know them both very well.
Like, you get to fight a swamp thing, and you get to punch the monsters in the fucking face. Like, it was awesome.
It was
super. It was good.
It was refreshing. It was definitely refreshing. After playing Resident Evil for so long, you're like, okay, this is definitely different.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the very end of his thing, you get like you save her and everything. You're in a little tent. And I'm spoiling this for you, Nick. I don't care. You're in the tent. And then she gets a call, and it's Ethan. He's like, "I told you we'd come back for you." I'm like, "Ethan, you work at, like you were saying, he works at like Home Depot. Why is he like on top of calling her afterwards? It's like, I commanded the forces to come get you."
Oh, that's
right. I thought the umbrella, not the umbrella people, but I thought that they were. Why does Ethan get the credit for rescuing her? I don't know. It was like
because in the story, when he leaves her behind, when he leaves Zoe behind, he says, "I'm going to call reinforcements to go." He pulled a kind of a Trump. He just took credit for it, even though they were all coming there. He's like, "Yeah, I did it."
I felt like that was kind of dumb. But
yeah, it was weird.
I will say, what was the other thing? Did you guys all choose to save your wife, or did you choose to save Zoe?
I saved Mia. Yeah,
100%. If I have a choice, I'm like, I
wanted somebody here to save Zoe just to do it.
Zoe, why would you? Why would you choose Zoe?
Why would
you? But I wanted to know if I didn't actually look into it to see if it's any different.
I did. I went and watched it all. So if you choose Zoe, it is really stupid. So you choose Zoe, and so Mia stays behind. She's kind of mad, but then she's like, "I came here for a mission. I have to fulfill my mission," which aka kill Evelyn. You get in the boat. As you go off, right when you get to the tanker, Zoe essentially turns into crystal and dies. Like, Evelyn just turns her into crystal and she just dies. Yeah, that's it. And then you have to do the whole tanker stuff and Zoe's just dead. And the way the game ends, you remember that scene where you were Mia and then you were kind of like stuck into a bunch of like goo, like you're in that goo. Mia essentially in that same scene sacrifices herself to save you. So at the very end on the helicopter when you fly away, you kind of get a John Wick style. You get a look on your phone, watching Mia's message, and she died sacrificing it. So that's which through the DLC, like what the canon ending is you save Mia because the DLCs just wrap up the two storylines, the two open threaded storylines, and it's really bad. Because I went and watched it and I saw her immediately die, and you're like, that's it. You don't even get. She didn't make it. Which I also didn't know. It was weird because you gave her the serum to protect her, right? And then it's supposed to heal her, and it's supposed to be done with it.
Yeah,
and
then she turns into crystal.
She dies from it just down the street.
I don't think it. So from what I gathered, she got the D serum, and the D serum didn't eliminate. It didn't heal her completely. It just severed her ties with Evelyn, so she didn't have these like hallucinations. Which also wasn't completely apparent because the D series and the E series and the serums that are developed from each one based off of the embryos, have different effects from it. That's why you had to get the E series to kill Evelyn, because that serum was made to kill Evelyn. It was kind of a coincidence they all came on the same tanker. Like, let's send the weapon and the thing that can kill the weapon all together,
Well,
just
I mean, yeah,
to be
of course.
It's like a backup.
Yeah, well, I mean,
And
they have to have a failsafe, right?
Yeah, well, and then let's also send the D series, which was a failed prototype. Let's just put that on the tanker too, just in case someone wants to make a serum off of a failed prototype for this weapon. Like, I don't know, it just seemed kind of silly.
So wait, so the tanker that arrived like 3 years prior?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really
Yeah.
pay attention to the timeline of like.
Well, I liked the logistics because it was right. Evelyn needs to get to the secret research facility in Central America so that they can protect her there. And then because there's this whole process of her going to be stolen by other corporations, they're going to abuse her and use her.
Mhm.
Their technique was we're going to take a tanker and we're going to pose as a regular family on a transport crew that has never seen a regular family. It's so silly. It's like, I love the way that they just backdoor. They're like, okay, let's make a tanker level. We can do a lot of stuff with it. We think it'll be fun. I will just fit it in the story. Who cares? Yeah, so that's why they.
And then the tanker crashed near the Baker house, and that's how they got infected.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
somehow it was like really like far up there too. Like it just didn't seem like, I don't know if they got rid of some of the water or something. Like it was definitely way far up the shore.
Well, there was that drawing that Evelyn did that had like broken
Yeah.
the tanker and stuff.
So it's in Louisiana where there's like shoreline, but there's like this marshland that goes for a long time. I've actually flown over it. It's pretty weird.
Okay.
But yeah, so this right, because the main story, I had to even look this up because I was so confused even after all that. And I tried reading every note because I'm like, I want to figure out what's this tanker situation, because they were on the tanker. There's a storm, and there was a really, really heavy storm. And remember that kitchen area where it's like there's they called it the vomit, and so that's where Evelyn was at, and she was like sick and kind of scared and just started vomiting, and then that's what threw everything out. So it was in the middle of the storm, and then through the storm, the boat kept going towards land, and then everyone started dying because of her puke poison. Her puke poison stuff.
And then
that
she
was
was
like
evil after that, and she wanted to just destroy everyone and wanted a mommy, and that's what the whole thing was.
Yeah. Well, she was like always very mentally unstable. Because even then they said though, because she's technically looks like a 14-year-old, but she's not even 14. She's like a little, like she's not very old, because they age super fast.
Well,
yeah, I'm curious at like what point did she start to age, and then all the stories you hear about her were they just everybody's hallucinations?
Yeah, I have a feeling she's probably mentally more like because judging by the drawing, she's probably a 3 or 4-year-old who looks like a 12 to 14-year-old. You know, emotionally she felt like a 4-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Like she understood family concepts and anger and rage. She was like the id incarnate.
There's another thing that confused me about the story is that after you get off the boat, there's a laboratory that you go into that apparently they were doing tests on her there. So did they the people survive and then put her in a laboratory and somehow contain her, but at the same time she's over on this farm or like on this swamp house and like infecting these people?
So this is where the DLC stuff this gets so confusing, because you have the house that has like the mines where you get connected to the mines, and then the one mine ends up in a research facility, and then the one mine ends up at the house. It straight up comes to the main house, and Lucas was the lead researcher of.
How?
He just was. I know that he became lead researcher, and then there was the one note where they were pissed. Because I think is in Redfield's DLC that they were mad that he got promoted to lead researcher. He's also a super engineer, which is
crazy with traps. He would have been a killer at Home Alone, man. But
yeah,
is Lucas not part of the Baker family?
No, he is.
He's a son. He's a son. Yeah.
Okay. Wait. So maybe I didn't understand all this. So is the Baker family, were they originally all on the boat?
No, they were in their house.
No. Like they're in their house that has to be like it's like the estuary on the shoreline, and then the tanker shows up. Jack, the dad, went out and found her and then brought her back, and then she slowly corrupted everyone.
Yeah, so I mean, what I assumed was this Baker family lived on this place and like with all the rooms and stuff, and as Evelyn infected them, they became like their personalities got to the extreme level of whatever their personality was at that point. So like, what's her name? What, I forget the mom's name, but she was like super religious. Marguerite. She was super religious before Evelyn infected her. So that when Evelyn infected her, she became extremely religious and built this effigy with the D series in it and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
So she went like above and beyond what she was before. Same thing with Jack. And so I thought he was kind of like this crazy scientist guy or something like that, and then he just took it to the next level when he got infected by Evelyn.
Well, they
and
make
that's
it
where that came from.
Yeah, because his room with the trophies, like he was like an engineering prodigy when he was a kid.
So why was there a laboratory?
I just thought it was Lucas's from his experiments, but maybe I'm wrong.
But
No,
why was he experimenting on her? Didn't she control him?
He might have been experimenting on the other prototypes. So she was just one weapon. She was the successful weapon, but maybe they had the D series weapon on there that failed. So maybe he had all this other crap on there and he was experimenting with it.
I think Mark has a really good thing because there was already established research facility which connects to the mine the mine also connects to the house. So it's as if they are coincidentally connected.
Yeah.
But Lucas was the head researcher of there, like independently.
Mm-hmm.
And then
wasn't there something? I feel like there's something I read that Lucas was not affected by Evelyn.
Yeah,
I think I might have read
he was the only one.
I think I read that he was not impacted by her.
I agree. I read that same thing where it said
I thought he was.
He's
he
just
had
crazy.
Superpowers. He didn't have. He wasn't affected like mentally by her.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember where I read that or not.
But we know he's infected because in the DLC, when you kill Lucas, like the
turns
human,
into a big monster.
he then transforms.
So he's
into
infected
a
in some
monster.
way, just maybe not in the controlled by.
Well, there's
her
two
way.
different kinds of infections, right? There's the hive mind infection, and then there's the crazy regeneration monster infection. And I think like they can be one and the same, but you can sever the hive mind but still be a monster. And so I thought when you killed Evelyn, you severed the hive mind from her, so she never had control over him.
He'll be back. Brian will be back.
Uh-oh, it happened.
Yeah.
It did.
Welcome back.
Oh.
So what were you saying, Nick? Sorry.
Oh no, I mean maybe I'm just making it up. This is what I assumed. I thought that as like when you killed Evelyn, you severed the hive mind from everything, but those molded or whatever, they still existed until you killed them.
Yes, I think that's correct. Well, the DLC, that's because all the DLC takes place after Evelyn's gone.
Well, what's strange to me is that he's constantly reporting to someone saying, "Oh, she's aging. Oh, she's doing this." Like he's like monitoring her and doing something, but it doesn't. Why is there a laboratory where he's doing this? And there was actually a room that I think that she was in and turned two other guys into these molded people.
Maybe Lucas was doing, because that old granny was Evelyn, right? So maybe Lucas was doing research on her, and if he wasn't tied to her mentally, then he would be able to move, work freely or independently from her. Maybe he was doing research on her in his lab and everything that was connected to her during those 3 years.
I found something. It says Lucas was immunized against Evelyn's control by her creators, the Connections, in exchange for providing observations on her.
Oh, I forget about that whole Connections group
So
that
the
shows
Connections
up in the
group
DLC.
infiltrated this house and avoided her, and this got rid of that.
That's right. The Connections, the secret laboratory.
I think that maybe they wanted to put her in a house setting to give her the family that she wanted, because that's what maybe would have calmed her down so that they could observe her. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like she wanted so badly to be in a family, so it's like, okay, here's mom, here's dad, here's sister, brother, and let's just keep her there. We'll let you not be affected by her, but you need to keep her and keep an eye on her.
I assume I might go with that. Yeah.
I assume the tanker crashed, and then she just latched onto this family because she had this thing in her head where she wanted a family, and so the Baker family fit that. But what you're saying is this was kind of planned by a corporation?
I think
maybe
they came in
they
secondarily.
She'd been asking for a family while on the tanker, and so they're like, well, here's the house with people, let's just use them. Maybe.
Okay, I got you. So is this part of the DLC? What is it called?
The Connections.
Connection, is that DLC stuff?
Yeah, it's part of the free DLC.
They're in it, but it's not like a DLC like based on the Connections. I don't think. I think it's
okay.
Because I remember not a hero is Chris just going in there and killing Lucas, which I guess gives you information a little bit about the connection. So
Yeah, and it starts in the mines and then
Mhm.
takes you through the mines and then into a whole bunch of other
my
areas. and
favorite
ends.
thing about
And
that DLC is that he goes in there. He's like, I'm not leaving my guys behind, and then just every single one just dies.
everyone dies.
Oh, poor
I
Poor
feel like
guy.
I'm giving this game a bad rap, and I don't mean to, because I actually did enjoy playing it. And some of the things that I really, really enjoyed were all of like the horror aspects. I thought that it did well, like the VHS tapes and playing through like
Mhm.
that.
Yes.
Loved all those stories. I thought that was just really cool. It made me want to watch the VHS movies again.
No.
I liked at the end when Evelyn keeps appearing, and then she's like in these kind of jump scare situations, but she's like this like almost she's this film version of herself that keeps like
Mhm.
interacting with you. And Mia keeps appearing and trying to kill you at the end and stuff. And she's I don't know. I liked how that whole story sequence went. I
Me
just wish
too.
that the story was more comprehensible.
Yeah. No, and so this entire time we've been trashing the story. And I'm sure, I promise you, maybe it's not today or tomorrow or whenever we have this on YouTube 5 years from now, someone's going to find this video and they're going to be like, they don't fucking know. This is the
That'll be
story.
great.
How
And
do you
they're gonna
not know
write-
this?
Please
they're
help
gonna-
us.
Right? And they're going to write a really wonderful write-up, and I'm going to read it and be like, thank you.
Yeah,
Is
that's
Yeah,
they're
amazing.
going to put a
I'm
good
okay.
write-up. They're not going to say these
Right.
ignorant pieces of shit. They're going to say something nice, and they're going to say, hey, I'm informing you. They're not going to be...
I'm okay if they
trolling.
call me an ignorant piece of shit, as long as they then tell me like a fully coherent, like well thought out like narrative, how it all
Yeah.
is structured together. I'm like, hey, fair play.
Okay.
I need some sound. I need some sound evidence if I'm a piece of shit. So,
Yeah. But,
um,
I mean, it was a fun,
I
campy
loved-
story, for sure.
I will
it
say,
was campy. It was really fun.
Yeah.
I liked the creepy factor, like the part where you see like you're crawling out of like a crawl space and you see Evelyn's legs.
okay, that's what I was just gonna say. My favorite character in the
Loved
whole
it.
game was Evelyn, and all of her stuff was the stuff that actually scared me. Like, I think there's the one where Grandma's in the hallway when you're coming out of the save room out of the basement, and so she's in the hallway, and all of a sudden you walk past her. It's right when you get the scorpion key. And so you go and you use it, and I was like, shit, I need to make sure and save. I don't know what's going to happen. So I ran back, and she was already gone. And I was like,
That
Shit.
part was my favorite
Yeah.
part of the whole game.
and then with
You,
the
like,
legs.
Walk
when
by
you
her
walk-
slowly.
Yeah. With the legs, when you walk in the room and you set it and you turn around, and then it's just her legs were all of a sudden there. I was like, oh God, I'm not going to be able to sleep. Like that actually scared me.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm surprised
creepy.
they didn't also make that a jump scare. It was very not on brand.
Yeah, they did pretty good with it.
I liked being in the house. I liked I don't think I just want horror. I like sort of escaping. I like survival-y stuff. I like figuring out where the key is and finding things. But I kind of didn't like it as much once I left the house. I don't know how you guys felt about the tanker and the mine, but I found that to be not as fun.
Agreed. I like the house stuff a lot more than
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings about it. I didn't mind it too much, but I do feel like it. The lab didn't make sense to me at all, and I feel like the story just went like from creepy house story to super over convoluted, insane story after that point, and it was.
But they
it
do that
disengaged
in
me a little
every
bit.
Resident Evil movie and every Resident Evil game. They start as like whatever the normal set piece is, it somehow connects to something insane that doesn't really make sense, but you have to go with it.
Nick, you've seen the Resident Evil movies, right?
I've seen the first 4.
Okay.
I think there's
and
only 5, so you're like the Resident Evil movie expert. What are your
like
thoughts?
6 or 7, aren't there? I don't know.
There's a whole bunch of
Um,
animated ones too, and there's all kinds of like other ones.
Yeah, I could tell you this: the movies don't help understand this game at all. Like, they're pretty independent.
No, this was pretty independent overall. Umbrella was used in it. You had Chris Redfield, and that's about it. I don't think anything else in this story was relevant to any of the other Resident Evils that I can think of.
So I know when
No,
was
I
playing
looked
the
it
game,
up. There's the only characters that have any connection to the old ones.
Yeah.
So when I was playing the game, it got to a certain point where I didn't know where the connection at all was for the Resident Evil that I know of in the movies. And then as soon as like Umbrella Corporation, and then they bring up like these types of weapons and that they're making in the military and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, okay, there we go. There's something.
Yeah, finally, okay, Umbrella.
So
Got
I
it.
think the movies are actually their own independent stories that aren't like they're trying to tell the movie version of the games. They're like, this is like the soft canon
In the
of the
same
universe.
universe,
Yeah,
kind
it's
of?
like universe stuff because they don't really relate. I've seen the first 3 movies, and after the last one, I was like, I will never watch another one of these. Horrible.
Are they good, like in like a bad way?
Probably.
They're
I think
They're
if
bad
you
good,
want to
yeah.
watch a bad movie with friends, you will have fun trashing a bad movie.
I love
If you
that.
want to see like Mila Jovovich just be a badass girl who's just killing stuff and then have really weird plots that are over the top campy, then I mean, it's this B movie fun
This is
is what it
kicking
is.
all my
Resident
boxes.
Evil
Yeah.
1 was a really good movie when it came out. I
Well,
thought
it's
it was
not
a good movie
bad.
when it came
It's
out.
definitely a
Was
movie.
it? I feel like that's a really hot take, Mark.
I don't know. Maybe I was too young and stupid when it came out, but I saw it and I was like, yeah, Resident Evil. And I was happy. Kind of like Mortal Kombat. When I watched it, I was like, wow, this is a good movie.
Yeah,
I wasn't,
really,
but it
Yeah.
felt like it was at the time.
I
I
agree.
like a lot of bad movies though, so I could like it.
Yeah, I think you would.
But the new movies
Yeah.
are coming out, or at least there's an animated and then there's a live action, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that
And so those
Netflix
are
has that in the
supposed to be-
works, and they just cast the movie. So
And they're supposed to be more true. At least one of them, I can't remember which, is supposed
I
to be
think
more.
they're going to do Resident Evil 1. Like, it's going to be the Raccoon City.
Yeah.
Which that's the thing. If you hadn't played that, there are numerous Raccoon City references in the game, like through various papers and articles where they were talking. They were
Oh,
within
yeah,
Resident
in
Evil
the
7. Yeah.
7, yeah, that was, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew of it. I did a podcast a long time ago with Dylan on the Resident Evil movie.
I forgot about that.
So I know of like Raccoon City and a few links to the game. I mean, most of the similarities between the game and the first game and the first movie are just like characters and like certain things like the crows, and then like certain shots are
The
like the same.
crows.
Like, and like there's always like a dog that you kill, I think, isn't there? I don't remember.
Yeah,
Hmm.
zombie dogs.
Yeah. Zombie
Yeah.
dogs.
You don't
I
feel
don't know.
bad
Mickey
for them
Mouse?
when they're like Dobermans that have half rotting necks.
Yeah. And the
It's not
first
like,
jump
It's not
scare.
like Last of Us 2. That was terrible.
no,
Yeah.
it was The Last of Us 2
You,
feel
like,
bad.
you had to kill like Sparky. You're like, what?
Yeah, it's like, oh, this dog you killed, you have to be its friend for like hours and hours and hours.
After you kill them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
after you do. It's so bad to watch something terrible.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I
that
mean,
was so true.
yeah, Last of Us 2 is much better than this game. I will say that.
Yes, yes.
100%. I think that this was actually, it's funny, I think Resident Evil was fading away with the last couple that they had. 5 and 6 I think weren't as popular. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, there's some really good Resident Evil
That's
games.
how I understood it, is that the popularity was waning quite a lot.
Yeah, 4 was good. I think the last one that people were like, yeah, I really liked it. And then 5 and 6 and then like the movies were getting bad at that time too, and like even worse than what they were, and it's just like all kind of downhill. And then this came out, and they're like, oh, this is reviving the franchise in a way. And so this
Have you guys
started.
played? Have you guys played all the other ones? I said, Nick, you haven't.
No.
No.
So Brian, you've played the remake of 1 and 2, right?
Yeah. Well, I played the original 1 and 2, the remake of 1 and 2, and now this.
So I partially played originally Resident Evil 1, partially played originally Resident Evil 2, and maybe a little bit of Resident Evil 3. I was not good at completing games at that point in my life. So they were scary. I mean, Resident Evil 1 was like, again, we talked about this before in a couple of shows. It was one of the first scary games that came out. That was just like, this is really a horror game.
I feel like it's the first true horror game that came out. Like, yeah.
I would say
I just bought it. I bought like 3 Resident Evil games yesterday. So I'm committing, you guys. This is. I
Did you
started
buy
a
the
mission.
remakes or did you buy the originals?
I guess I bought the remake of 3, and then I don't know if 1. I bought the remake of 3, and then I bought 1 and 0. I guess they came out with a 0, but I don't know if those are the remakes or not. I think they're the remastered, but I don't think it's a remake.
I think 0
Yeah,
might be the remaster, and then 1 is I don't know. I actually don't know.
So Resident Evil 1 is just a remaster, where Resident Evil 2 is a complete remake.
Complete redo.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because like the first scary moment in the original Resident Evil 2 is a Doberman scene where they jump through the wall, and I just remember that scaring the living hell out of me. And
Nice.
that doesn't. I kept waiting for it, and you're like, oh, they're not gonna do that in this one. Like they changed it, and there's a lot of monsters that weren't in it, because I like remember playing it late at night, and you go in the sewers, and there's all these spiders, and they just remember really freaking me out. And I was playing this one. You get to the sewers, and you're like, there's no spiders. I had to go look it up, because I'm like, I thought I just hallucinated this whole memory of being freaked out by getting attacked by spiders, and they just completely removed them from the remake.
Yeah, the remaster. I think Brian hated it. Oh,
I don't like the puzzling in it. Oh dear Lord, it's so frustrating.
The what? The puzzling?
Yeah, it's so okay. So Resident Evil,
puzzling, I think.
It's not
It's
good
not like
puzzling.
Zelda. Okay.
No, it's the inventory management in this game is one of the. It's a legacy from the first game that they keep doing, and it's not as bad now. But you have like 8 slots, and you just never have enough space.
Oh, that was kind of annoying. Yeah, I can.
You think this is annoying? Resident Evil 1 will take it to a whole new.
Oh, great.
level.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, and you don't even get like upgrades. Where in Resident Evil 2 you get pouches, and this you find backpacks. You know, actually, now I think I only found 2 backpacks, and then I saw like the potential space, and I was like, I don't know where those other backpacks were, but I wish I would have found you.
Yeah, I struggled through 7 with the inventory. So, because I don't know, I just wasn't prepared for it. I know it wasn't as bad as the other ones, but like, I would get to many points where I would see a coin, and I just, oh, well, I guess I can't pick up that coin because I don't want to run all the way back to my box, and I don't. So I missed so many like little things here and there because I just didn't have space for it.
You also missed the shoot the statue things. I saw the sign for the one.
Like
and I just
the very end, I didn't even know that you can like use your knife and stuff and kill them. You know, that's one of my things about like first person shooter games is I hate like. So when I'm out of bullets, this is just what I do. I just go like this for like ever.
Yeah, Nick, when you were fighting the bees, not the bees, it's like the giant bees you were fighting.
Yeah.
When you're fighting with the knife, I was like, oh, back in Morrowind, we're just doing Skyrim style, like swipe.
Exactly.
And eventually they die.
There's got to be a flamethrower, I'm sure, but all I have is my knife right now. So okay, I guess I'll just do this for a while and then hopefully not die.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those single bugs that would come at you and you'd have to like just kill them one by one. I shot those with a pistol for a while, and I was like, I figured out I could kill it with a knife, and it was much better for me.
Yeah.
Save a lot of bullets.
I did really good with my inventory though. I feel like I'm just used to it by now. I'm like, okay, let me make some potions, throw stuff in there, whatever. It's key. I don't see any other spots I need it for. Throw it back in there. And so I kind of had a clue for how Resident Evil paces their inventory stuff, and so it wasn't a big deal for me.
So that wasn't for me either. Like when you're doing like the dog quest. So in most games, right, you need to get the 3 dog heads before you can open it up, and you would just store it in your inventory till you get all 3. But I know Resident Evil, when I get a dog head, I ran up here and put it in. I don't care how far away it was. Run and put it in.
It's just so weird. Like most games like this, if you get like a key item for the story, it's usually not counted in your inventory because your inventory is like your ammo and your potions and
or what but here ammo and an herb is all your inventory.
Right, exactly.
This is classic Resident Evil. It's something they don't want to get rid of. Yeah.
So I had another question for you guys. So I know this is primarily a Japanese game, right?
Yeah, Capcom. Yeah.
So do you think there's any like loss in translation through some of the story or gameplay at all?
I don't know what it is, but I promise you, there is.
Excuse me. I don't know if that's maybe why some of it was a little bit more hard to like track, is because maybe there was some loss in translation.
I'm sure it's just shitty over in Japanese.
Anyway, so I figured they would vet it well. I don't know.
Man, I can tell you all the horror stories of Final Fantasy XIV and the translation stuff that happens on one side, but completely different in other languages, and characters are completely different. And when people find out, they get so pissed off. So I can imagine that this game is no different at all. when we're doing the Final Fantasy 16 discussion this weekend, by the way, Brian, that was part of the discussion. The trailer was different in so many different languages that if you knew what all the languages were, you got so much more information about what the story is of the game because it mentions different names and everything else. And so it's. I promise you, the quality of this game probably does not have good translations coming in English.
But I feel like some of the stuff we're really confused on, I don't think it's a translation issue. I think it's just a raw story issue.
Yeah.
You know, which is like, I think, right, they probably are more concerned with the big set pieces and then we'll fit the story within the set pieces that they're going to do. And then and they're like, it's Resident Evil. We've never been great about this from the beginning. Why start now?
Umbrella.
Like,
you're just like, throw that in somewhere and it's Resident Evil.
I thought they could have done maybe some like cinematics to explain the story a little bit. They did like, some VHS tapes that were not super helpful, and then it was articles that you find and that you read, which I find those tedious. I don't want to read.
Oh, she's my friend.
You should play Disco Elysium.
Disco Elysium. It's a.
Why is it nonstop reading?
It's dialogue all the way.
It's a point and click event. No, but the thing is, you do like some of that because you like point and click adventures.
I don't mind a story if it's good. I don't want to have to read a bunch of notes.
Do you want to read 20 minutes of world building when you talk to a character?
Hell no.
Your framing is not great, Mark. It's not that bad.
I don't like world building. I don't like long lore of things I don't give a shit about.
Oh, you're gonna
learning about racism, society, socialism, capitalism.
Oh, I like that stuff. No, that's cool.
Yeah, 20 minutes of talking about that to different characters, and then
okay.
Yeah.
So Emma, that one you played, is it Thimbleweed Park or Tumbleweed Park?
I think it's called Thimbleweed Park. Anybody else play that?
I don't know what that is. Didn't know. It's another point and click adventure. That's why you haven't heard it.
It was like in the vein of like Maniac Mansion. And it's so good. I would play it again. I think it's.
Well, if you have 20 hours to read, I would say Disco Elysium is a good recommendation.
I don't want
to. So imagine, Emma, if you're playing Thimbleweed Park, where if you ran into a character, you would actually probably have a 20-minute conversation. And I don't mean that sarcastically.
Yeah,
I would talk to a character and by the time I'm going, oh my God, that was 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Didn't feel like it.
I'm trying to think of a game that I played that I did enjoy reading everything. I think the only game was Last of Us 2, where I was excited to read a piece of paper.
They did that really well because it was little bits of information.
They were little bits, and they told a little story. Like there was that one guy that you ended up. He was like an archer, and then you ended up like having to find him and kill. That whole like mini story about the archer. Mm-hmm. I loved, but like, what was it, Fallout 4? That I just was like, I don't care. I don't care.
Bethesda, yeah, they put some literature in there. It's like the best D writing that you can, just all over the place. There's some guy who read every single one of the books in Skyrim, and they're like, "There's no reason in the world you should ever do this. This is the worst decision."
Or you find the books in WoW, and I'm just like, I don't care.
This game wasn't too bad.
Sorry if you guys like that. I'm sorry if you.
I actually want to like that. I like the concept. Like when you play Skyrim and you see the books in there, and I'm like, "Ooh, gonna read the history." And I usually make it 2 or 3 pages, and I'm like, I don't like this as much as I think I would like this, and then but I will still collect the books. And when I make my houses, I will get every volume in the world.
I like character building. Like if it's like a book of like hot goss about like a character that like I enjoy or I want to date or whatever, like if it's like compelling and like a Dragon Age-y kind of like, ooh, this is their secret diary, I'm gonna find out what they say about me. Like I would be interested in that, but like world building and let me tell you about the history of this place, I don't care.
Yeah, they didn't have any books on Chris Redfield, so I mean like someone I probably want to date, but wasn't really, any literature on there in this Resident Evil 7,
No.
Which one was it? Was it 6? The main character was literally like the Hulk or something. I don't know. He was just like nothing but complete muscles and just running around. You guys remember that?
That was Red. Yeah, because it was Redfield.
Was it?
I think it
Redford?
was 6. Yeah, because it was Chris Redfield. Because I was looking up his character history because I was curious what he looked like. Because I just played 2, and you're like, looks a lot different.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and they hulked him up for one of them. And
Umbrella steroids, man. That's what it was.
yeah, he was really hulked out. And then I read a whole article. Basically, there was like Camp's people loved him, and then the other camp was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. It was.
So wait, you could play him or Claire in 2?
You can play both. I mean, they have their own story, and then it goes to one side, and I think right.
Yeah.
It was
No,
her,
not
it was
Chris,
him or
not
Claire?
Chris. It was
Yeah.
Leon, right?
Oh yeah, it was Leon.
Okay.
Because Chris, he actually disappeared because wasn't it his sister?
Because he's in
Wasn't Jill
Resident
his-
Evil 1. I think like that was kind of the
He's the
story. He
main
was
character
busy
of
in
one, right?
the mansion or whatever.
And then he's the one who
Everett-
disappears in 2, which is why Claire shows up. Because it isn't I thought Claire's his sister.
Yeah. I
I
think
think.
so.
I don't know. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna play them all. I already played 2. I'm gonna play 1, then read 2's synopsis, and then 3. I remember when 0, because 0's of like the origin story of 1. So it's its own game.
I think I need to clarify for other people who might watch this too, at the beginning of each show, that we are not experts of anything that we're talking about.
No.
we're just our little video game book club.
Well, it's such a good show for me because like I have so much backlog, and like I'm embarrassed to admit that like the very first Zelda game that I played that I loved was Skyward Sword, and then I went back and I played all the other ones.
That's funny.
So I'm
Skyward
not-
Sword was one that brought a lot of people in, which is strange to me because Zelda was part of my life for a while. But people who did play Skyward Sword and they went into 11.
They did, but I did?
franchise. Yeah.
Well, when I was a little kid, we got Zelda. I never played the original Zelda. I was telling Mr. Brian that the first Zelda game I ever played was Zelda 2.
Mhm.
And I was like, it was too hard. I was like too young. I just couldn't get, I'm not young, maybe not young, whatever. I just didn't understand it. It wasn't fun for me. So I was like, okay, never playing a Zelda game again. They aren't fun. And then I've ended up playing Ocarina.
So
Wind Waker.
unfortunate.
I know.
2 would be like, Zelda franchise. Oh crap. Yeah, I played 2. It's terrible. You're like,
Zelda's
oh, no.
horrible. Yeah, imagine being that person who's like, yeah, Zelda sucks. Like, growing up, you just tell everybody Zelda
What?
sucks.
And then they stop talking to you, so they don't even get to like hear out your reason why.
Yeah.
You're just like, I just started losing friends.
Yeah, how many friends did you lose over there?
Well, I don't think I had any friends that played video games. So 0.
That's depressing.
Oh,
No.
I was telling this to Brian, like I didn't have, I'd go and rent video games as a kid, and I'd probably walk by a really good video game and rent like Beavis and Butthead because I liked that show. And I didn't play anything that was, I never played F-Zero or some classics that I don't think I ever played. I never played Super Metroid until I got the classic set up, and
Okay.
yep. So
All right,
I have
so
a
your
long
backlog
backlog.
includes stuff from the SNES and stuff, and
yeah, I was trying to get a list of some of the, and because I loved Mario as a kid, and I loved Tetris and Mario Kart, but I didn't really go beyond those sort of a small handful of
so you
games.
never touched Resident Evil, of course, or any scary games. I'm assuming.
Never touched Resident Evil, never touched any scary games, never touched any Zelda until much later in life. But then I went back and I played all of them.
That's good. Well, they're remaking them now, so you don't have to play the originals anymore. You just once they just start regurgitating it like Hollywood does, then you just
Exactly.
they'll have a new version of this game eventually, and you can play it.
So Emma, what was it about Resident Evil 7 that made you like so into it that you wanted to buy all of the other games and play it? Especially you don't really like horror a lot, so
I don't.
a little bit.
I like dungeons. I like it feels to me like a Zelda dungeon. Like trying to get into this room with a secret key, solving puzzles. I love solving puzzles. I love dungeons, and so that's what it feels like to me. And how to escape. I like playing escape rooms, and so I mean that's why I liked this house part so much, and wasn't as into the
Everything
the other
else.
part. Yeah, everything else.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I would say that Last of Us is kind of a scary game, but I loved it still. I like shooting games. I don't mind first person. I prefer third person shooters, but I don't mind having a gun. I don't mind stealth and hiding, and it had a lot of elements that I really enjoy. I just don't like jump scares.
Okay.
So I guess I don't mind horror. I don't mind getting creeped out a little bit. It's like thrilling, It's like it's fun.
Mhm.
I prefer playing it, I guess, than watching it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, it's
So-
disappointing that Last of Us gets like jumbled in with the horror because has such like a strong like character development that it
Oh,
could
yeah.
almost be standalone like anything. It just happens to be in a horror world.
Yeah. It is, but I mean, it gives it that unique flavor, and it does probably get extra attention because it has zombies. I mean,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
Right.
So, I think with Resident Evil, this one, since it's doing so well, they're doing all the movies and everything else. They are coming out with Village,
Mhm.
which have you read anything about that, Emma?
No, I wasn't even. This wasn't even on my radar until Brian mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, I should play another one, and I really, really liked it. So I'm kind of like, this is, and it's like the theme of Halloween time. I'm gonna play a bunch, and I got a whole lot of nothing going on. So
that's all of us. That's how
Yeah.
this podcast birthed, and everyone else's podcast birthed around this time.
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, no, they're making another one, and it does seem to be kind of on the same genre level of 7. It looks more like a 7 than it does a 2 to me. Brian has a confused face, so I assume he disagrees with me.
No, I think I agree. I think it's gonna be connected to this one.
Is it?
Yeah. I think it's supposed to take place a couple years after this, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Village is actually the connections people that all get connected to this. So
Okay. I mean, I don't know.
that's what I read.
How much? Okay, so I gotta ask you, dude. How much did you read after finishing this game?
What do you mean?
Like you finished the game and you're like, I watched you watched the 2 DLCs, and you went and you read about stuff with Lucas and you read other things.
I probably read for another couple hours.
Couple
like
hours?
in total.
Okay.
Because I tried to read. I read like all of Chris Redfield's like Wikipedia page to see like his history. I tried reading a lot about just some of the narrative stuff. I actually didn't read anything about like with 3, 4, and 5. It was all just trying to put together what I already had played and known and connected to it, and then I watched the trailer for the new one and tried to see what we could glean from that. But
are you gonna go watch all the movies now and just like get obsessed with the Resident Evil universe? And
no, that's Emma. Emma's she's the one. She's pot committed.
no.
Okay.
No, I just read it because I'm an obsessive information person. I just it's that's my addiction. So it's something like this, and you just have it access. I'm like, yeah, I can just sit and read it for an hour, and then I walk away. It's like nothing. I don't even think about it. So
that's fair.
I read a little bit. I don't read too much. It's more of like I want to jolt my memory about or put the pieces together of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll play it.
Yeah.
Resident Evil Village takes place in Europe. Ooh la la.
So maybe it connects it somehow. The swamps come together, Brian. I don't know.
Well, it's probably going to be either whatever right. So Evelyn is a mold spore mind control monster that they created for warfare.
And I think there's many of them out there or something. It's something.
Yeah. So whatever, because right, she's on a tanker coming from somewhere. Did we ever establish where she was coming from? Like, is there family?
Super secret, crazy base.
Yeah, so let's say it's Europe, and she was going to Central America, covert with Mia, the secret operative, whose husband had no idea she was. Did he think she was a war journalist? Like,
was he?
I have no idea. He just his whole time, every time he sees Mia, all the terrible stuff. Mia, be honest with me. He's like, that's not the right question right now, Ethan. You are a moron.
He was.
I'm just stuck on he works at Home Depot. I want that to be canon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's canon.
Okay.
I loved how they repaired his hand too. Just like, all right, we cut your hand on. Here it is. Sew it on, and it works again.
Dude, okay, so right.
That's awesome.
Apparently Zoe fixed that, and she gets his hand cut off, and she did whatever, and you're like, Zoe's got some unbelievable skills. Like,
Yeah, he
she just
like moved.
she just straight Luke Skywalkered it, but in Louisiana. Like,
Now, is it his hand or is it like? Do they have like a garage with
I
like a
think
bunch
it's
of
his
drawers
hand.
with body parts?
Because they picked it up, or I think he picked it up. Yeah,
Okay.
I picked it up.
she's.
I'm kind of envisioning they have just like extra body parts laying around. And they're like, oh, this will fit. You know.
Yeah.
So the watch that you wore, I interpreted that as being like it spiked when Evelyn started to take over your mind or something like that, or when you started to become more infected.
Huh?
The watch that
Yeah,
you
the watch.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't understand what the watch was doing.
Me
Oh,
either.
It's your health
it measured
bar.
your infection level,
It's your health bar.
maybe.
I thought my health bar was how much goo splats I had
Yeah.
on my screen. That's how
yeah.
I
when you
judged.
got hit, like it was green when you were full health, then yellow when your health started to get low, and then red when you get really low.
I never
I
noticed.
just waited for the blood to appear.
Yeah,
and
I
then
just waited for blood spats.
It
and
was
then I
it was
adjusted
monitoring your
accordingly.
health the entire time, so you knew if you needed the potion. I guess the blood splats work too, so I don't know. Yeah, it was redundant. Look, the people who made the UI on this was not the same people who made the UI for Ghost of Tsushima, so they they didn't have it all
That was
worked out. They were like, "Cool watch, man," and they put it on.
That's it.
Yeah, it
There's
was
also-
the secret organization's watch that they put on him for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. What were we gonna say, Nick?
With CG, like some of the CG looked really good, and then some of the CG when they did like up close like facial shots, and you some reason like people's mouth and their teeth, like you just can't get even if they're not
Mina
talking.
stuff was like, I think this is the horror show.
It's VR. It was optimized for VR. I think that's what it was.
Okay.
Oh,
'Cause, I
okay.
mean, like,
Yeah.
VR can't take up really heavy graphic loads like that, and so it needs to be more like. I
makes
think
Because
at least.
I thought it was a current game, so I thought maybe it would have a higher graphic level too. And some scenes look great, and some of them were just really off.
The videos with Mia being emotional, like I don't know, after playing Last of Us 2, where it's just like you're just like intensely looking at every like teardrop on your character's face.
Yeah.
For Mia to be like, don't come here, I'm just like, you look like a mannequin,
Yeah.
not invested in talking
They did not
mannequin.
put the level of work into the character design and how it looked as they did with Last of Us 2. Now we can, every show we go back to Last of Us 2 and we discuss how
You
much
do?
better of a
Okay.
game it is than everything else we're playing.
It's somehow
Yeah.
everything connects. Yeah.
It's the best game. I mean,
It is. I do think there's some games that are comparable, but it's the best. Like
Yeah.
so what's up there for you?
Ghost of Tsushima is up there, but I think
Oh,
I played
nice.
it differently than everyone else.
Very different than Nick.
Yeah, I
Oh,
played-
how'd you play it? This was probably covered
Well, I
already,
think-
but what was your?
it was more of how I interpreted the scenes and stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there that I thought I interpreted like, wow, they're being silent here. This means something or something else. And Brian and Nick were like, I didn't get that at all. I just thought it was just a little pause. And so
Yeah.
it's just like, I was like intently looking at every scene and analyzing all the interactions and everything else. And they're like, what? Whatever.
I loved it. It went a little long for me, but I feel like I did a lot of that. I really sort of like meditated when I did my little haikus, and I really liked. I don't know. I thought it was
You liked the
following
butts.
vein.
the
Oh
butt-
my god, so many butts. So many butts, like
when I
especially when like it
mentioned
was
that-
like around sunset time, like it was perfect. Good angel.
Brian gave me shit when I mentioned that. He was like, "Why are you even bringing it up? It's natural." I'm like, "It's noticeable. How do you not notice that?"
Yeah, just a guy's butt. I don't know why you're making such a big deal.
I had never seen a guy's butt in a video game before, so it's worth
River City
mentioning.
Ransom. That's my first.
Never played that.
The 2 pixels. Yeah.
You just
Do I need to?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, you do. It's one.
Okay,
It's
well,
one
not-
of the best Nintendo games. Yeah.
I need a backlog of butt games.
I would start.
Play Near.
I would
We played
start
Near,
there.
so play that one.
A lot of butts
Okay.
in here.
Yeah, that's pure butt.
Oh yeah.
Just make it like, all right, got Near, River City Ransom,
Okay.
Near
Wait, it's called
Automata.
Near?
Huh?
Near,
Okay.
yeah, Nier.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. What else about this game? All right, so
Oh, so I found out. So Resident Evil Village. Come back to this.
Yeah.
Here's the synopsis of the game. The game is set a few years after the events of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. So during Capcom's reveal, they said the story. So Ethan's world suddenly comes crashing down once again when Chris Redfield, an unexpected yet familiar face, makes an appearance, setting off a chain of events that sees a distraught Ethan seeking answers to Chris's shocking actions and ultimately finding him in a mysterious village.
this sounds horrible. That sounds horrible.
I'm already it's already convoluted.
Yeah, I want to know why Mia wasn't involved in that. Why is Ethan?
She's fired, man. She caused this whole thing. She's done. Ethan saved everything, so now he's the new operative. We're gonna find out he was an operative the whole time, like a super high level one that was just married to a lower level one and was pretending.
I won't throw my controller if that happens, but I will huff a few times.
It's just like we have this guy who was in this house, and he just happened to kill a bunch of things that we were going to release on the world that we weren't ready for. So he's qualified to be one of our special force units now.
That's all it takes.
Well, it says the world, his world's gonna come suddenly crashing down. I mean, he's gone now. Whatever job he had, and Home Depot probably fired him. But
I just can't imagine. Like,
he's gonna learn more about Mia, and it's gonna question the nature of his relationship. You know?
Okay, the
probably gonna be like loosely based off Breaking Bad, and he's gonna have to figure out, how can he handle.
If they have like a scene where Chris meets flies in to an island where Ethan's living on it by himself, and like he's like Survivor Man, and he's like, Ethan, we need your help again, and he's like all sweaty, and you see his butt for Emma, and then he takes his axe and he's ready to go. I'll accept the story at that point.
Okay.
I'm liking it.
I just kind of want him to, for Redfield to show up in this mysterious village, and he just like, Ethan? Like, what you doing here? It didn't work out after I saved Mia. Turns out PTSD doesn't make it for. It was hard on the relationship.
Yeah.
I want to go on vacation. I just ended up here. I don't know what that was.
It turns out I thought I could be married to a secret agent. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I didn't like it.
Dear God. So
I feel like we could write a better sequel than the sequel that's coming out.
I'm sure, but it wouldn't be Resident Evil if it didn't have
they're all messes.
Yeah.
I like how I'm already, just by that description, just so confused.
I'm uninspired.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, all right.
The trailer looks fun
now.
I'll play it.
I mean, yeah,
I
of course.
guess I like these games. I guess I like these games now.
Yeah,
I want this game
horrible horror games.
Village. I want it to be a little more witchy. I hope there's like.
Yeah.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
It looks like it has witchy elements to it.
I'm really I'm in. I want
some occult or something like that.
Yeah.
So are there other games that I should add to my backlog that sort of have the survival escape
Well,
element?
we're playing Until Dawn. This is our next goal.
But that's just a story.
That's like that's pure narrative, though.
That's pure camp narrative, like survival.
Yeah, okay.
The decisions you make depend on life and death for your characters. So,
but there's no puzzle. It's just you just choose.
There's no like puzzle or there's no dungeony thing. Okay.
I don't know. I haven't thought of any recently, at least.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I can't think of anything immediate that would be like a close. Yeah, we'll have to. We'll do some research and get back to you.
Well, I got plenty of.
That's puzzly. Does have puzzle elements to it. That's pure horror.
That's pure horror. Yeah.
I mean,
it's not first-person shooter.
Yeah.
If you really want to stretch, I guess you can just put in a lot of puzzlers. I mean, even like the Room games, they're like short.
I have played most of those. Yeah.
Okay. Or like any of the Myst games. Those are like.
I love Myst games. I just got one.
Okay, so.
Myst. It's Abduction. Did you guys ever play that one?
Yeah.
Did you play Myst game?
That was like the
Did you,
next production. Yeah.
did you like it?
Oh yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a really good like spiritual sequel to the Myst games, which makes
So
sense because
I'm like a third of the way in.
Yeah.
So
Nick is like a puzzler madman, though. He loves.
Oh, okay, we'll have to touch base. I love puzzles.
Yeah. With Resident Evil, I guess we can talk about 7 a little bit more here. With the season pass stuff, you guys didn't touch that at all, I'm assuming. But there's 4 videos. There's 4 VHS videos that you do. One is what happens like when the family gets infected. So it shows like.
So do you just watch the video, or do you actually get to you play it?
You play it, and you play as Zoe. And so the idea is that the girl comes in, and then a couple of seconds later, Zoe's like, "I'm going to take your family," and she disappears and takes your families, goes one by one and takes all their minds, and then you have to try to escape the house as Zoe. And
that actually sounds cool. Actually,
it's okay. Then there's another one called Happy Birthday Jack, which is where you try to feed Jack random stuff around the house, which is completely stupid. One of the worst things I've ever seen DLC-wise. Then there is an Escape the Room. You guys remember the Cameraman VHS? Where like they go in and it's like the crew?
The very beginning.
Yeah.
So one of the cameraman is Clancy.
It is Clancy, yeah.
And he's in a couple of the scenes. Like he's in the birthday thing. You remember the birthday VHS in the game?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
So you do a couple things with him. One of them is there's an Escape the Room VHS for him where he's in a bed and locked down, and Marguerite's trying to feed him maggots and everything else. And then while she's gone, you have to figure out how to escape the room. It's a puzzle that you just have to figure out.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And then there's another one, which is just a blackjack game where it's 21, except for it's Saul, and he cuts your fingers off if you lose and stuff like that. And that's about it. I would say the season pass is not worth the money at all, unless if it's on like a discount or something. But
well, what was it?
I have it. I bought the gold version, and it had all the DLC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then
and the season pass. So
because that's what they were selling. You could buy the gold version with all the DLC for 20, or you could buy just the season pass for 30. It's like
something's off.
Doesn't even make sense. Yeah.
So if you have access to it, I'd recommend playing it.
I think I'm gonna
do it. Like the video should have been in the game actually with Zoe.
Absolutely,
that makes like a lot. I would have enjoyed to have that in the game.
But the thing is, I think they made the game and they're like, it would be cool if we gave people this story, and then they added it to the season pass.
Well, and what was it? The Chris Redfield DLC was supposed to ship with the game.
Was it?
But yeah, that's what I read. That's why they gave it for free. They were like, we actually had planned on this being in the game, but depending on the pipeline, they just were like, cut it out. Which I'm like, I don't know where you fit that storyline in the game. Like,
just after it ends and you're flying off in a
helicopter. Like all of a sudden, unless they were to do like play the game, beat it, and then now here's this other little thing you can do. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It wouldn't make sense story wise.
Yeah.
But
I mean, in the Chris Redfield thing, they added in the night vision, which was kind of like, all right, I guess I need night vision now instead of a flashlight.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat.
The idea was neat, but like it Resident Evil. And the other thing was the mask that you had to get, the filter mask. So those were the two little things that you had to do that was different from the regular game. And I think
well, he could punch.
Oh yeah, he had the punch.
That's a big deal.
So it's not like the one you played, Emma, where you're just constantly punching. It's like he can punch like as a finisher every once in a while.
Yeah.
Who, Chris Redfield can?
Yeah.
I think it started. I don't know why. It just like pulled me out of the like inept guy in a house. Now I'm like a broy guy with all these tools and weapons.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel like it felt less horror and more Call of Duty-esque.
I gotta save my squad mates.
Yeah, I started it and I was like, I think it was late and I just was like, I don't want to do this right now. but I like the one where you're the like, backwoods.
That was one. That was good.
It was good. You're literally eating critters off of a tree
Mm-hmm.
for health.
The grubs and the centipedes. You just
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're just like throwing spears at alligators and killing swamp man. Like that was my jam.
Yeah, I felt like he was more like Rorschach and Watchman. You're like, oh no, he's not stuck there with the monsters in the swamp. The monsters are stuck there with him.
Yeah.
Like,
you guys know the swamp thing was Jack, though, right?
Yes.
oh yeah.
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 He just, which, okay, that was what I was confusing because when I watched it, I also didn't realize until I was reading it that Jack was also in the boathouse. Like, you fought Jack, essentially. He was 3 bosses throughout the game.
Yeah.
But at the end of the boathouse, he crystallizes. Like, he does, he turns into that. Yeah, so in the DLC with the uncle, because it's his brother, they have a fight with him. He basically is Swamp Thing. Like, it's pretty hilarious. It's like fucking Swamp Thing.
Yeah, and he's like a really good fist fighter, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
so good.
But you're like, Jack's back.
So can you just not?
Well, that
kill
was
him?
the other thing. So I was really confused on this. When you beat the game with Evelyn and she comes out of the house, I assumed with the way that it explodes, half the house is completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you...
There
Yeah,
he goes.
we lost him. I think I know what he's about to say.
Yeah.
Classic. The house felt
Classic.
normal.
Yeah.
It was back. And you're like... I'm like, I don't know if I understand timelines.
And they repaired and blocked off some areas and like... Yeah.
Oh, when you're doing the end of Zoe and it's like the cave that are tented and stuff area.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I assume
all after.
Yeah, that was all after, but it was...
But we assume the house was destroyed at the end of the main story.
Yeah, because when Evelyn did her thing and went super, I just want a family, when she was a giant smoke monster cloud, I was like, oh, house is gone. But I guess not. I guess it was just a few... Oh, that's the other thing. Okay, so this house, the family seemed normal. It took 3 years for that house to degrade to the quality of what it was. You would think they had been abandoned for 30 years.
So I don't know if you realize. Actually, no. When I was playing the beginning part in the DLC, where it was, "Hey, you're Zoe, and you get this is the beginning where your family gets infected by the girl and everything." There's still that fucking hole that goes in from like the laundry area, and that crawl space that goes to the other one.
Okay.
When you go through there, Jack's like, "Oh, that's your favorite place. You like playing in that." So this family is okay with having a big hole in their floor, leading a tunnel into another part of their house.
I guess they're fine with that. The amount of lawnmowers in places that I don't know how they get the lawnmower out. Like that crawl space, when you go down there's a lawnmower to the left. And you're like, this lawnmower ain't ever getting out. Like they actually parked the lawnmower and then built the house around the lawnmower. Because there were like 3 lawnmowers in the different parts of the houses and the other houses. And I'm like, these lawnmowers ain't getting used. They're stuck.
Nah.
It's like, I liked that. That was really random.
I did want to ask you guys too, because you guys played, everyone except for Nick played Resident Evil 2. There was a extra part after you beat Resident Evil 2 that allows you to play as one of the soldiers and go back. Did you guys play that?
No.
I don't remember. I have sometimes a really poor memory when I beat a game. I can't remember a whole lot about it.
There's some DLC stuff with it, I think, that comes with it that is.
Oh yeah, I didn't touch any of the DLC stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think I did either. I think I wanted to. I will.
Yeah.
All I remember is the tyrant stalking you, and that was really fun.
I just remember every time someone talks about the tyrant, I just think Thomas the Train, because that's like what people modded
That's
into.
such a good mod, though.
They mod him into Thomas the Train.
Yeah, so they modded it, so instead of the tyrant, you just Thomas the Train shows up, and so you're being hunted by Thomas the Train. It's really good. Yeah.
I'll have to look it up online or something.
That's good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's funny.
That
game had a great jump scare. They really got me in Resident Evil 2.
Which one?
It was the one where you're like the library. You're on the second floor of the library, and you're like going across this like catwalk on the second. Maybe it's just like a walkway, and it just falls.
I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's on the back end where there's the door, It's on the far left on the upper stairs. When you walk in, and you just collapse through it.
I'm like running. I was out of the tire. I was out at that point, but it was like a cinematic that just like you fell. And I think I threw my controller. It really got. Yeah.
Nick, are you gonna play that game?
2?
Yeah.
I loved it.
He's like, I'm not enthused.
I am way more interested in finishing out all the movies than playing video games.
So you're somebody that likes horror movies but have not played horror games.
Yeah, I really haven't played many horror games, but I've seen like quite a bit of horror movies. I don't really know why, because I like video games too. They're just not the ones that
I'm so glad. Yeah.
So what was your thoughts on it, like after having played one?
overall on this one.
Yeah, just this is your impression of horror games now, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
This is what you think horror games are, I guess. Are you happy with what horror games are?
Yeah, do you want to play more?
So I mean, I have played other horror games, I guess. So I played Until Dawn already.
You played Last of Us 2. Yeah.
I played Last of Us 2.
True.
So I think I'm just not a really big fan of first-person games. Even like when I played Skyrim, I wasn't in a first-person perspective. I always pulled myself out to a third-person perspective.
Yeah.
And even my fighting style with Skyrim, I had never ever fought with a sword or anything. I always just summoned a bunch of stuff and shot fireballs.
Oh, I was say usually it's everyone's like this time Skyrim, I'm gonna fight with a sword. 20 minutes in, going back to archery. It's like everyone does that.
The classic, yeah.
But Resident Evil 2, the remake, was third person.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
It is a first-person shooter. Well, not for it's. I guess a third-person shooter is what it is.
It's a third-person shooter, so it's like Last of Us, and yeah.
I might try it. I would prefer playing a horror game that wasn't a shooter. If it was a horror game that was like a puzzler,
Amnesia.
or even not a puzzler, but just exploring something in a horror environment,
Amnesia.
I think I would really like.
Amnesia. Yeah.
And it has a little kind of puzzle stuff in it. I'm doing it right now. I'm gonna go play it because I have left it in my backlog for long enough, and I gotta be a true horror game player. So.
Yeah, the first one's on my backlog, but I know we're playing the third one here pretty soon.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm already caught up. I already played next week's game, so I might as well not play a different game. So.
Oh.
I don't know. Like, there's something about like games, like horror games. I get into them. I'm just like, okay, I'll just keep going. I don't think about it. I just want to just keep playing. I don't know why it's so appealing to me. I mean, Brian, you like horror games as well, so I would say both of us are big fans of them. I don't know why.
I will tell you it. Okay, this is actually something really. I will say I had a harder time playing this game from a horror level than I normally do, and I have a feeling it has to do. I've never felt so anxious about the world as I have in my entire life than I have right now. And I mean, between the elections and everything happening, it's like
the world.
I honestly was like, I wish I kind of wasn't playing this right now, because it's like. It's getting me emotionally in a way. I'm like, I'm not settled very well. And it was like,
so you need Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, it's like, I just don't know if I want to be scared right now. Wait, give me a month. But it's like, I mean, the state of the world is I'm very anxious about the world, which I historically am not.
Right.
Yeah, same.
But I don't know. Maybe it's just the horror games take me completely out of the world too, because it's just so especially Resident Evil, it's so just out of like makes no sense, completely just batshit. That I mean, things are bad, but there's not a little girl in a house it's trying to control me and turn me into mold. So it's like at least I can have like this high bar. We're not there yet. I can I can kind of scare myself a little bit, I guess.
This would suspend a lot of reality, and I wasn't emotionally really invested in any of the characters. Like, I don't know. I think the world is pretty ridiculous compared to how it was months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could be playing Last of Us 2 right now.
It's true.
Oh, I know the other game, Emma, BioShock. Yeah. That's a game, BioShock, which is a classic game that also can be classified as a horror. I remember there's sections of it. It's like, Yeah, in first person.
I went and bought, that's another game that was on my backlog, so I bought the trilogy because I played the trilogy of Uncharted and loved it, and I tried to play BioShock and I didn't like it.
Really?
Yeah.
What didn't you like about
Yeah.
BioShock? I'm
I
very
love
curious.
BioShock. Yeah.
I didn't like. I actually don't like first person. I prefer third person.
Okay.
And so I don't know if I'd just been playing Uncharted and I really sort of marathon through them. And then I didn't like the electricity elements. Like I went and played the original Uncharted, and so it was pretty dated, but for some reason this one felt like the enemies, it was harder for me to kill the enemies. I wasn't good at it. Like I think like Nick, you were saying, like you're just not good at it. So I think that's how I felt about it.
Okay.
And I couldn't I couldn't get past that. Granted, I only really played like a half hour, 45 minutes of it.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's just something I need to like power through, but like I played Uncharted and that was a dated game.
So, okay, so I had a similar experience with BioShock. I found myself when I was playing with shooting the guns that I was so inept that I felt like I was really drunk. And so also there was a way that I was playing it with headphones that all the gun firing mechanics, the piercing sound of it was like kind of hurt. I was like, oh God, I just kind of hate this sound. So my compensation, I just picked up the wrench, which has unlimited ammo, and I just kept boosting all of my strength stats with my wrench. I beat the entire game wrenching everyone.
Like, so you Louisiana boyed it.
Yeah, just like run up, like smash, 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 done. Because you can get strong and you can just start wailing people. And so you can just kind of run at them, except for the big daddies. Then you have to save kind of the equivalent of like grenade launchers. And so I would see them grenade launch it, but everyone else, I literally wrenched the whole game. But that game is the design is set up as it's an incredibly well crafted world that once you really piece it out, you're like, oh, because I didn't play it till like 5 years ago. And I was like, oh, and then I went back and was reading about the reviews, and you're like, oh yeah, this is this is a masterpiece. This makes sense.
But what did you guys love about it? Like,
it was so long ago. I played it when it came out. To be honest with you,
okay.
The atmosphere was really great back then.
Yeah.
The idea of being in an underwater horror game was like, okay, well, this is actually really cool. Just the concept itself, and the gameplay wasn't too bad. It had like some leveling stuff, so you could kind of level however you want to play, with their special abilities and everything. And I don't know, it just felt fun, and it was the characters and the dialogue was fun to listen to, and the story really wasn't too bad. I don't think.
Yeah, story's good. Yeah, and the environment in the world they feel in feels lived in. Like I guess the only way to compare it now is sort of like a Naughty Dog game. It feels fully realized.
Last of Us,
Well, I want to present like an Uncharted too.
Okay.
But it feels really lived in and really dynamic, and it uses the 1920s semi-noir aesthetic, and they pulled it off just from an aesthetic level. It's really well crafted and beautiful, even for a game of like 2008. But they came out with they updated it. So
Dead Space is another one too.
I love Dead Space.
It's third-person shooter.
Okay. People recommended Dishonored to me too. Did you guys play Dishonored?
I haven't.
I tried it, but then I again played it for a couple of minutes and stopped. I can't explain why. I'd had no qualms with it. But just one of those things. That's why I'm so glad I have this thing right now. So I'm playing all my games now.
Games I normally would have quit on after 20 minutes.
Especially Disco, dude. Man.
You know, I'd probably consider Hollow Knight a little bit of a horror game. It's definitely in that kind of environment.
Is it like a puzzler, kind of dungeony?
Hollow Knight? No.
No, yeah, it's side scroller, right?
Metroidvania.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Metroidvania 2D beat 'em up type of thing.
All right. Well, is there anything else you guys want to say on Resident Evil 7?
Good.
Not that I can think of. No, I think I'm good.
Good. We did good on Resident Evil. You guys ready for Until Dawn?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I really wish that I remembered the choices that I made the first time I played it, so I can make different choices. But I even looked at my trophies, and my trophies are like so generic. I have no idea what I actually did.
I am actually kind of excited to talk to you guys about it. There's a couple things that I noticed with it. I'll wait till you guys play through it. I won't talk too much on it.
Well, that's very polite of you.
Yeah. I did you guys know that the story and the choices and everything about the game
matter?
It all happened.
Yeah.
So that's the next one we're playing, Emma. It's a very campy. Like, we're doing horror games, of course, all through October, but
I like it.
yeah, it's a campy, like, I don't know, back high school and ski lodge.
It's like a throwback 80s horror narrative.
It's like a slasher. It stages itself like a slasher.
Yeah. So
Nice. Sounds fun.
we'll see.
Yay.
All right. Well, if that's it, we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
being
by
here.
the way, Emma, coming on. I don't know.
I loved it.
Yeah?
Yes. Talking about games? Oh my gosh. I love it. Yes.
It's wonderful. Just to have like an excuse to get together.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I appreciate you coming on. It was good to have another person. Get tired of Brian and Nick all the time. Just being here, just them. It's all...
I really get tired of myself as well. So I agree. Fully agree.
All right, we do always this awkward bye thing, so we're gonna do that. So thanks everybody for watching, if you watched at all, and thank you for on YouTube. Don't leave bad comments, and bye. See you later.
Bye.
Okay. We are muted. It's wrapping up. It's good. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Oh. No. Not really.
Literally the least amount of comments.
It was pretty quiet. I don't know. I don't even look at it anymore, man. There's like a couple hundred views. I mean, on them. I mean, I haven't looked at it.
See the numbers, like, do people watch it the whole thing?
All right, you guys want to get the analytics out and stuff? All right.